Good morning, everyone. I am Princess Kyle Balcos,
I am Princess Mylene Pacaldo.
and today we will be discussing the prenatal development. Okay, first things first, we need to define what is prenatal development. Prenatal development starts with fertilization in the germinal stage of embryonic development and continues in the fetal development until birth. Prenatal development is divided into three periods. First was the germinal period, second was the embryonic period, and lastly the fetal period. So let's proceed to the germinal period. Germinal period, or the first 2 weeks after conception. This includes the creation of the zygote, continued cell division, and the attachment of the zygote to the uterine wall. In the germinal period, there are two layers in it, the blastocyst and the trophoblast. The blastocyst, or the inner cell that develops during the germinal period, develops later in the embryo, while on the other hand, trophoblast, or the outer layer of the cell that develops also during the germinal period, later provides nutrition and support for the embryo. Let's proceed to the second period, the embryonic period, or the 2 to 8 weeks after conception. In this stage, the name of the mast cell's zygote become embryo. As the zygote gets attached to the wall of the uterus, two layers of cells are formed. Endoderm, or the inner layer. Endoderm develops into digestive and respiratory system. The outer layer was divided into two parts, the ectoderm and the mesoderm. Ectoderm is the outmost layer which becomes the nervous system, sensory receptors, the eyes, ears, and nose, and the skin part, the nails and hair, while the mesoderm is the middle layer which becomes the circulatory, skeletal, muscular, excretory, and reproductive system. This process of organ formation during the first 2 months of prenatal development is called organogenesis. Under the embryonic period was the three life support systems, the placenta, umbilical cord, and the amnion. Placenta consists of a disc-shaped group of tissues in which small blood vessels from the mother and the offspring intertwine but do not join. Umbilical cord contains two arteries and the one vein that connects the baby to the placenta. Amnion is a bag or an envelope that contains a clear fluid in which the developing embryo floats. And the last period of prenatal development was the fetal period, or the 2 months to 7 months after conception. Growth and development continue dramatically during this period. This includes the development of organ systems, the development of brain and physical growth. The organ systems continue to develop and mature in preparation for the life outside the womb.
Okay, let's proceed to the teratology and hazards to prenatal development. Teratology. It comes from the Greek word tera, which means monster. It is the study of abnormalities in physiological development, particularly during the embryonic and fetal stages. It examines the causes and mechanisms of congenital malformations and other developmental disorders. These abnormalities can be caused by genetic factors, environmental factors, or a combination of both. Teratology also explores how various factors, including nutrition, maternal health, and medications impact fetal development. To make it short, teratology is the field that investigates the causes of congenital defects. A teratogen is that which causes birth defects. Let's proceed to the 5 clusters of hazards to prenatal development. First, prescription and non-prescription drugs. There are several types of drugs that can pose risks during pregnancy, including both prescription and non-prescription drugs. For example, antibiotics are commonly prescribed but can be harmful to the developing fetus if not used correctly. Non-prescription drugs like diet pills, aspirin, and even coffee can also be dangerous when taken during pregnancy. A historical example of this is the thalidomide tragedy in 1961. Thalidomide was prescribed to pregnant women to help with morning sickness, but it led to severe birth defects in many deformed babies. Specifically, exposure to cocaine during pregnancy has been linked to several development problems. Babies exposed to cocaine may be born with lower birth weights, shorter lengths, and smaller head circumferences. They might also face difficulties with motor skills, information processing, and paying attention as they grow. This shows the importance of being cautious with any drug use during pregnancy, as it can significantly affect the development of the baby. Second, psychoactive drugs. Psychoactive substances, including nicotine, caffeine, and illegal drugs like marijuana, cocaine, and heroin, can be harmful during pregnancy. Research shows that pregnant women who consume more caffeine are more likely to have preterm deliveries and babies with lower birth weights. Heavy drinking during pregnancy can lead to fetal alcohol syndrome or FAS, which includes facial deformities, limb defects, and heart problems. Many of these children also have lower intelligence or intellectual disabilities. Smoking during pregnancy increases the risk of fetal and neonatal deaths, as well as preterm births and low birth weights. Additionally, babies born to heroin addicted mothers tend to be smaller and face complications such as toxemia, placental issues, and difficult deliveries. So, toxemia. Toxemia is also known as preeclampsia. It is a pregnancy condition marked by high blood pressure and protein in the urine. It usually occurs after the 20th week and can cause complications for both mother and baby if not treated. Third, environmental hazards. Environmental hazards include radiation from jobs or X-rays, pollutants, toxic waste, and prolonged heat exposure from saunas or hot tubs. Research shows that fathers exposed to high radiation levels have a higher risk of chromosomal abnormalities in their offspring. X-rays can also harm the developing embryo, especially in the early weeks when pregnancy may not yet be known. Toxic waste like carbon monoxide, mercury, and lead can cause defects, as seen in cases where lead exposure affects mental development in children. Prolonged exposure to high temperatures, such as from saunas or hot tubs, can raise the mother's body temperature, potentially causing birth defects or fetal death. Okay, next, the other maternal factors. First, rubella or German measles. In the 1964 to 1965 outbreak, rubella led to 30,000 prenatal and neonatal deaths and over 20,000 infants with severe birth defects, including mental disabilities, blindness, deafness, and heart issues. Second, syphilis. This infection can cause damage to organs, including eye and skin lesions, and affect the central nervous system and gastrointestinal tract if present at birth. Third, genital herpes. Babies born through a herpes-infected birth canal have a high risk of death or brain damage. Herpes can be transmitted during pregnancy, delivery, or breastfeeding. Fourth, stress and anxiety. Increased stress during pregnancy is linked to premature birth, low birth weight, and developmental issues like ADHD and schizophrenia. Fifth, nutrition. Maternal malnutrition can severely affect fetal growth, potentially resulting in smaller brain and developmental delays. Folic acid is crucial to prevent neural tube defects. And lastly, maternal age. Older face higher risk for chromosome abnormalities. The risk of conditions like Down syndrome increases after age 30 and rises significantly by age 40 and beyond.
Very young mothers also face increased risk.
Fifth, or the last cluster of hazards to prenatal development is the paternal factors. It was the exposure to lead, radiation, and other toxins can affect sperm and lead to miscarriage or childhood cancers. Older fathers also have increased risk for certain defects in their offspring. Now, let's discuss the human life begins at conception. What does it mean when human life starts at conception? From the moment of conception, the developing human being, whether as zygote, embryo, or fetus, is indeed a unique individual. Even at just 8 weeks, the unborn baby is fundamentally similar to one at 18 or 28 weeks. Traits such as eye color, hair type, and even the likelihood of baldness are all determined at conception, with nutrition being the main factor that influences growth. If you see the film entitled The Silent Scream, you can see there that the mother submitted herself to a medical doctor for abortion in her third month of pregnancy. When the abortionist inserted his scalpel into the woman's womb to crush the head of the fetus, very clearly in that film, the fetus had his or her mouth open like he or she was screaming for help as he evaded the deadly scalpel of the abortionist. That's why the film was given the title The Silent Scream. This only means that the developing being in the womb of a human being is not just a conglomeration of cells or tissues. Based on these facts, it is wrong to do abortion. The womb is supposed to be the safest of all places for human development. Unfortunately, however, with the scourge of abortion, it has become a tomb. The development that takes place in 3 stages proves that the developing embryo in a mother's womb is truly a human being. So let's all stop abortion. That's all. Thank you.